majority of my deals, like 99% of them have just been where I purchase at a discount and I turn around and sell it for what it's worth and preferably on payments. And that's one way to just create one amazing lifestyle business. Can you get rich doing it? Absolutely. But that's the snowball effect. You do one land deal that makes you an extra $100 a month. And then your second one makes you $200 a month. Before you know it, you're like $22,000 a month coming in.
Welcome to the Cashflow Fight Club podcast. In the Champions Corner edition, I'm Mike Deaton, and together with Lydia, my co-host in life, business, and this podcast, we're taking you into the training room, deep in the dojo, sharing the secrets of what it takes to forge a champion. We're digging deep into mindset mastery, high-performance habits, best-in-class behaviors, and bringing you the tips and techniques that maximize human potential, brought to you from some of the best in the business.
So grab your buds and your seat. Hit subscribe and get ready to up your game. Let's do the show.
Let's do it. Today's guest, Brent Bowers, is an investor and coach with a focus on buying and selling vacant land, which we love. As an Army officer with over 8 years of service, Brent was spending a great deal of time away from his family, and he knew he needed to make some changes in order to be more present with his wife and kids.
Brent began investing in real estate as a way to support his family while having more time to spend with them. In a short period of time, Brent was able to expand his business, hire a team, and still have more time to spend with his family.
He now helps other investors learn the ins and outs of buying land. Let's welcome Brent to the show. Brent Bowers, welcome to the Cashflow Fight Club podcast. We're excited to speak with you, catch up, and talk all things land.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, I'm excited.
Right on, man. Well, for anybody out there who doesn't necessarily know you or of you, give us a little background. How'd you get started? All that good stuff. Yeah.
So, I was about 2016 and I was wholesaling houses. I kind of came up through the Wholesaling Inc. Podcast and was listening to all their podcasts and was, wholesaling houses. And that was going okay. I was kind of racking up quite a bit of debt and mailing postcards and talking to homeowners. And I had a very busy military job. I was a second lieutenant at the time in the Army, preparing for another combat deployment. This would be my third combat deployment. So I had a lot going on with my day job, but I was also trying to get out of the Army. I needed to leave that because we were about to have we had just gotten pregnant with our second baby. And like I had, my son was a year old at this time. And it was just, I had only seen him maybe like 3 months out of his whole year of his life. And that was weighing on me quite a bit. And it was really starting to cause a lot of friction in my marriage and just things weren't going great because I was always gone and I just kind of left this burden on my wife all by herself. So I needed to figure out something else. I needed a really good side hustle and I wasn't making a ton of money as a second lieutenant in the military. I'm working like 60, 70-hour weeks and I'm leaving my house at like 5:30 a.m. and I'm getting home at like 7 p.m. So I was like, goodness gracious, there's got to be a better, easier way. But I had the golden handcuffs on, like everything was taken care of. Bills were paid. I had some rental properties that were keeping me down. Like honestly, every time I turned around on these rental properties, something would break or I'd have to evict somebody. I think I had 6 units at the time. And it was I was like, there's no way that I can ever leave my job investing in rental properties, or at least not the way I'm doing it. So I heard a podcast. I was searching like voraciously, like my car was my university of how I can make, I needed to double my income basically, or replace my income so I can leave the military. So I heard about land investing and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I can use these house wholesaling skills that I learned from Wholesaling Inc. and put in the work with land. And I started mailing the tax delinquent landowners immediately. I started sending them postcards, taking a bunch of phone calls. I made a bunch of mistakes, but I did pretty well really quickly.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I think, as fellow land investors, we resonate with that, especially the part about, being able to accumulate cash flow and income and the land business being so friendly, and maybe this is not a good thing, but being so friendly to making mistakes. There's so much margin in the business that you can be a sloppy business owner, or you can try a few things and make some mistakes and still make way more money than a lot of other real estate ventures. So
Are you saying I'm a sloppy business owner? How did
I
you
am
know?
calling you out. I'm calling you out as
You know, I'm good at one thing. I'm good at one thing as a business owner, only one thing. And I surround myself with people that are better at these other things than I am. And I'm good at one thing, and I can generate income. And that's about the only thing I can do. I can spend it too pretty easily.
It's the lifeblood of a business. So that's a good thing to know how to do.
I leave a mess behind me, though, that my team, God bless them, they clean up.
Yeah, get the right butts in the right seat. So that's good.
That's right.
Man. That's good. I love it. That's great. So, military guy, I also heard about land investing on a podcast. I love podcasts for that reason, right?
Yes.
You can get out there and search for anything, podcasts, YouTubes, different things, and just hear people's experience and get awakened to this world that you might not ever hear of in other ways. So that's great. So, I believe for some period of time you overlapped for a bit. Like you were still a bit into the house in the wholesaling and then in doing land. At what point did you fully transition out of that?
Well, about 2022, and I lost about almost $500,000 in houses. I had hard money loans on several of them. We were flipping 7 houses and building 2 while doing about 9 parcels a week. So at that time, I was doing the lower priced parcels and high volume, high stress, bigger team. Just honestly, I was feeding my ego. You know, that's it. I was like, I wanted to have the team, the office, the big truck, all these things. But it's just like, I didn't get into the land business to get rich. I really just needed to make like $5,000 a month so I can get out of the military and be with my family. So I just kept doing deals and doing deals and doing deals. And finally the market shifted a little bit and I had a bunch of money in several houses with big acreage. I was like, well, it's still land. It's like 35-acre parcels and with big houses on it. And we were renovating them. And a couple houses we thought would sell for 850 actually sold for 550. So I had some hard phone calls to make to these lenders and say, hey, can I pay you back over a couple years? And then I mortgaged one of my rental properties to keep paying my team. And my wife was like, what in the heck are you doing? Like when she found out I mortgaged that property, 58 acres in Colorado, big house, like a ranch, I mortgaged it. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like I felt so stupid. And I didn't even talk to her about it. I wasn't trying to hide it from her. But I was like, I got to keep paying everyone. It's like, we got to keep spending all this money on TV ads and radio ads. And she's like, you're not responsible for everyone's everything. And I was like, and it's like, I felt dumb that she had to tell me that. But then all this weight fell off my shoulders. So I said, no more houses. We're done. So we closed up shop on the houses, or we stopped doing the houses, sold the remaining renovations and houses we had going on. And so I'm gonna laser vision focus on land and land only. And we're going to change everything because also my CFO at the time, my fractional CFO, we figured out that I was literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was borrowing from my land business to feed my ego with the house business. So I realized, so in business, we got to sit down sometimes. We got to slow down and see where the money's coming from, the key performance indicators, what's providing that money, and where the profit's actually being made. And it turned out it was land. And I was spending 20% of my time in the land business and 80% of my time in the house business. But the land business was providing 80% of the profits.
Yeah.
So it needed a complete shift.
Yeah, it's incredible. So it's easy to get to 10 or 20% of your time in the land business because it's a fairly low touch, or it can be at least, right? Low touch business. Once you get it up and running, it can run itself, especially you put a team in place. You can have a lot of time to do things with, but you touched on some really key aspects of other asset classes, tenants, termites, toilets, right? All these things are breaking, adding money, taking away from margin. Lenders. I mean, we we a few years ago got into, and we can touch on the tax part of the equation here in a little bit, but like we got in 2020, right before COVID. We got into multifamily in more of the syndication style, where you're grouping, putting a group of investors together, buying a larger property, and things like that. But the asset management side of all of that was just incredibly time consuming. I mean, even though you have a property manager, you're still managing the property manager, and things are happening, and there's stress. You have other people's money involved in deals, and it's just, yeah, it's not the lifestyle that we envisioned. Same as you, right? We got into land to path our way to freedom, and that doesn't require $50,000 a month or whatever. I mean, you can have all that with far less. It's still nice to have some level of depreciation to offset taxes, but I know we were talking about that right before we hit record. But land doesn't depreciate, unfortunately, and so it didn't take us but a couple of years of being in the land business to all of a sudden have a really painful tax bill. And we kind of went, oh my God, I'm not doing this every year. We have to find something out. So we bumped into Tom Wheelwright and his book, Tax-Free Wealth, and kind of awakened us to the benefits of other types of real estate as a complement to our land business. And so it sounds like you're exploring a little bit of that as well. Maybe you can share some of how you're looking to eliminate or minimize your tax bill.
That's one thing these coaches don't tell you. If you make a ton of money in land, it's basically ordinary income. And I can't give anybody tax advice. Obviously, I'm just telling you my experience. I'm not a CPA or an accountant. I couldn't even be a bookkeeper, honestly. Not to diminish a bookkeeper. But right when I had that problem in 2022 with these houses, I literally was like, oh my God, I messed up everything. I was going through these hard times. And I also at the same time got that 2021 tax bill for the IRS, which was over $100K that I wasn't expecting. And it was at the worst time because I just lost all the money. So I was like, how do I not let this ever happen again? So I too hired that CPA and wasn't the right one, unfortunately. So hopefully I've got the right one now. But I talk to my CPA quarterly, and we figure out where we're at as far as profits go and losses sometimes, because there's, we have ups and downs in this business too from time to time. So you got to put away for that rainy day. Don't spend all this money. But I get exactly the amount of money that I got to put into real estate as far as buildings so I can depreciate them and cost segregate them. So I've moved into another asset class. So I take land profits and I put them in industrial buildings, like small industrial buildings, like 2,500 square foot buildings, half acre parcels, anywhere from $450,000 to $500,000. So if I take that money as a down payment, say, call it the building I'm buying right now, I've got to put a down payment of $116,000 on it. A bank is loaning me the money at 7% to buy this building for $465,000. I've already got a tenant. I've already got a lease for 4 years. My tenants have already signed, ready to go. I don't even own the building yet. And that's going to eliminate a bunch of taxes that I would have to pay in 2024 by me taking that money and putting it into that. Because I really get the $465,000 benefit, not the money I put into it. I get the bigger spread. And that property is going to spit off about almost anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month net profit, because we do what's called a triple net lease. And these tenants never call. They're blue collar workers. They fix everything. They're responsible for everything: repair, maintenance, insurance, and taxes. All I have to do is pay the principal and the interest on the mortgage every month.
Yeah, triple net's beautiful. We've investigated that as well, and it just really is it's a great business model when you get really good tenants like you were talking about, and they just are essentially taking care of everything. You just collect the checks there. So yeah, it's a powerful 1-2 punch. The power of land and the ability to generate revenue combined with the depreciation of asset structures, let's say, on top of the land. Really good stuff. Let's touch on do you have a team today? Have you scaled down and still have a team, or kind of how you go about doing that? And how do you encourage your students and others in the land business as well?
And just so everyone knows, you could do this without a team. If you're just starting out, I like to say revenue in the first position. Revenue needs to come first before you start spending money. But yeah, I did scale down quite a bit, but we have scaled up recently. So I have 2 full-time acquisition managers, 1 part-time acquisition manager. So I call it 2.5 acquisition managers. And then an accountant and an office manager. And that's really that's my internal team. Now I do have an outsourced bookkeeping company that I'm assigned 1 bookkeeper full time, and then obviously the CPA. That's really my team.
Nice.
And I've got realtors selling all this land for me. I no longer need a disposition team.
Yeah, that's the elegant aspect of the land business is the simplicity of the business model. There's very little to complicate it unless you choose to do some level of value add on the different properties that you buy. But yeah, you can certainly. We started out that way. I mean, the 2 of us, we were as full time as you can be working our business and doing all that, and then you can scale as needed. And it's best if you can complement what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? So if you don't like talking to people, or you don't have time to work, or you're not a good negotiator, yeah, there are people for that. You can do it fractionally or contract basis or full time. There's just so many ways to go about doing this, and that's one of the things that we like to do with our clients as well. Is like you customize the business to your level of resources, right? How much time do you have? How much time do you want to invest? How much money do you have? How much money do you want to invest? And so you can certainly scale this business all kinds of ways. Like you talked about, do small properties. You do a lot of them. There's big properties that you can get in and do things. I mean, I think when we got into it, we started out small, and we quickly figured out there's the same amount of work in a bigger property as there is in a smaller property. So why not go to a certain level? And then you figure out, okay, if you're owner financing, well, people can really only afford a certain payment each month, or your buying pool really gets smaller. And so, there becomes a little window that you want to play around in. Unless you do it differently, right? You can leverage realtors and you get more cash buys because people are coming with their own terms or loans and doing all that. So it's a super flexible business.
Seller financing is amazing. I don't think there's anything better than it. We bought a piece of land. Me and one of my land sharks, I partnered with him on it. So I was the funding guy. So we bought it for $108,000, and we thought it was going to sell for like $230,000, but we got an offer. After a couple months, we got one offer. Got another one coming in, but we went with the cash offer. So the offer came in for $165,000. Said, "Hey, there's profit in it. Let's sell it." And then he came back the next day. He's like, "Hey, what if I just did $110,000 down and I financed, or actually it was $105,000 down, and I financed the remaining $60,000." And I told the realtor, I was like, "Listen, this was a cash offer. This is the reason why we took it. But I'm personally thinking to myself, I love seller financing. So even better." Where most sellers were like, "No, that's cash only." I said, "You tell him that you worked hard to get this, that you made this happen. So you look like the most amazing realtor ever. But we'll finance the 60 at 14% interest only." And he goes, "What, you want it in like 3 months paid off?" I said, "No, give him as long as possible. Tell him 3 years. We'll balloon it in 3 years. And if we need to balloon it, we'll do a modification and do it over, set it over again." So we're going to be getting $667 a month, interest only, and we got our money back out of the land deal.
Yeah.
So it's that's over $7,400 a year. Like that's like printing money.
Yeah.
I feel like the United States government right now.
I love those deals where you get your principal back, what you put in on the down payment, and then the rest of it coming in is just, we're happy to owner finance almost anything we can get as long as we're getting our money back in a decent amount of time. So
I just think long term, like I want to do a deal today and get paid for years on it, preferably like 30. If I could do 30, I'm going to test out 40-year loans. Just going to say,
what's the longest, just do it. Land deal you financed?
30 years. And here's the thing about 30 years. After about the 7-year mark, the principal start paying down principal pretty well. So maybe I'm going to test this out. Do like a 7-year balloon, and hopefully by then they can secure their financing or get a bank loan to build on it. And then just if they need longer, we'll just do a $500 loan modification, and I'll reset that loan again. Because really, it's like you could pretty much get tens of thousands of dollars over that 7-year period, because mortgages are front end loaded interest only. Like the banks do this and get away with it. Like I didn't create this. I'm just following what the banks do. And there's a reason why I think they're the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state. They borrow the money really cheap and then they loan it out and just rake in the interest. So quick tip, if anybody wants to pay off their house like super quick, just make an extra like couple $100 a month payment every single time you pay your mortgage. You'll knock off years off that mortgage.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Brent, for anybody that is listening to the podcast and they never heard of this vacant land investing business type, do you mind letting us know how do you do it? Do you buy your land at a discounted price, turn around and sell it, or do you do minor improvements like maybe subdividing, easements, anything like that?
The answer is both. Actually, both. The majority of my deals, like 99% of them, have just been where I purchased at a discount, and I turn around and sell it for what it's worth, and preferably on payments. And that's one way to just create one amazing lifestyle business. Can you get rich doing it? Absolutely. Because it's if you're getting your money back on the deal, and it's like we talk about that snowball effect. You guys know you're in the mountains. I'm a Florida boy. I didn't understand the snowball effect that Dave Ramsey keeps talking about, but I was building a snowman in Wisconsin several years ago with my son, and I'm like rolling the snow and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what Dave Ramsey's talking about. And I go to pick up the midsection of the snowman's body. And like, I had just gotten done in the military. I was like, I'm in good shape. I like threw out my back picking up this snowball. It was terrible. I felt like a dummy doing it, but that's the snowball effect. You do one land deal that makes you an extra $100 a month, and then the second one makes you $200 a month. Before you know it, you're like $22,000 a month coming in, and then it's like, geez, should I take a couple of days off? I think it's like, and before you know it, you got enough income coming in for the next 10 years. Or let's be honest though, sometimes these people default. So they default on the payment. We got to take the land back and we sell it again, and usually for more. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, I try and buy it at a discount, and not everyone's going to sell their land at a discount. If you're just starting this and you're sending out letters, talking to landowners, you might get a few people that yell and scream at you because they don't want to take your low ball offer. But if I can encourage you, just keep talking to people. A blind hog finds an acorn every now and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've also had experiences in the past where I would talk to a seller and he was like, I'm staying firm. I'm not selling the land for this discount. And then after a few months, he would call back and say, I'm ready to sell.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And sometimes they might not want to sell for that low ball price or that cash discounted offer, but maybe they just need $4,000 or $5,000 today and a couple $100 a month for a while. I mean, there's so many options. Like people think on the cash side, well, what if you want to be, have you ever thought about being a bank? What if you thought, like, would you be interested in owning an ATM that spits out cash every month? What are you talking about? Well, I love to pay sellers every single month on the land that I buy.
That's a great way to go about it as well. I mean, like I said, it's so flexible and creative, and very simple, right? It's a great asset class, I think, for beginning people that want to get into real estate, because it is friendly. There is some margin for error. You don't have to mess with, like we've talked about, finding tenants, repairing structures, renovating homes or apartment units or any of that kind of stuff. That's not to say you can't do that as well. We also encourage people that are active real estate, whether they're single family flippers or whatever, to get into land as well, because it is exactly to what you were saying. It's a great revenue maker, and you can use that for so many things. You can put it into your retirement account, or you can use it to fund other ventures or your lifestyle, however you want to do it. you touched on something a little bit, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but maybe we can talk a little bit about land notes and how that can be used as well, both as an active land flipper and being able to leverage those notes, but also as a passive investor as a way to get into land if you don't want to be so active.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as passive as it can get. I have a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of people. I've had people in the past like, Brent, I love the whole land thing that you're doing, but I'm busy. Like my business, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a plumber and I got a great business, or I work a lot of hours and I make money, but I'd love to make more with it. But I just don't know if I want to like build a land business or learn all this stuff. So I've partnered with them in the past. They've become my lenders, where I pay them anywhere 9, 10, 11, 12% interest, depending on the land deal, per annum, basically. So like a point a month. And we secure it with that land deal. We get them what's called a lender's title insurance policy. We don't touch their money. And guys, if you're thinking about lending, hear what I'm saying. Like the partner that you're working with, they should never touch your money. It should go directly to the title insurance company. And then the title insurance company gives my lender what's called a mortgage and a promissory note, or a deed of trust and a promissory note, depending on what state you're in. And you want to stay below like 60 cents on the dollar when you're lending funds. So what does that mean? Like if the land's worth 100,000, you need to be at less than $60,000. That way there's some room for error. So if like the market just, tanks tomorrow, more than likely you're going to be able to sell that land for what you've lent on it. So you're sitting good as a lender, and you want to be in the first position, like in the first position. Now I've done some second position loans, but I come with some of my own cash, as well as we secure that lender with a higher interest rate. With more risk should become more reward type thing. So that's one capacity. I've worked with people very passive. That's a very passive thing. We send them their check every month on auto pay. They only hear from us when it's time to wire them back their money, or when the title company is going to wire them back their money. We never touch it. And I'm responsible. If I don't pay for that land, they could take it back via foreclosure, and hopefully it's a piece of land's worth over 100,000 that they've only lent 60,000 on. So that's one way. That's probably the most passive way I can say. I don't think this land business is super passive until you've sold that land on seller financing and you're just collecting every single month. I love they call it mailbox money. I think that was like early 2000s with houses. Yeah. Now it's like, it's bank account money. It goes directly
digital transfer money. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes directly. I'm paid I think we're paid every single day now on land, because the note servicing software that I use, we got too many payments coming in the first. So we started putting them on the second, and then the third. So you can only get so many in one day. So now it's like we're paid almost 28 days out of the month, because February only has 28 days. So we don't get payments on the 29th or 30th or 31st actually anymore, or never have actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, a couple of great points I wanted to highlight there, because I have heard from other interested lands flippers that talk about other programs that people will partner with you on. And it's always something that you need to be very careful with in terms of, picking a partner in general is not to be taken lightly, especially when you've got large amounts of money. You need to be really sure about the terms and the level of agreement, and the way you described it in terms of having an escrow or a title or things not going into somebody's hands directly. It's really the way to set it all up if you're going to partner with somebody, because there's just a lot of things that can happen on the downside there. But
I've had lenders like, okay, I'll wire you the money today. No, please, like you're not getting my wire information, because like I've heard of things like like, what if I got hit by a bus today? Now that money's in my account. Now my wife's got to deal with that. Like if it goes to the title company, it's secured by the land or the property or the real estate, and they can have a deed of trust and a promissory note, something secured. Also, here's another thing. You want to, if you're going to lend on a land deal or a house deal or a real estate deal, if anybody's listening to this and you got some funds to lend, reach out to a broker in that area that's selling these land deals. How do you find that person? Or house deals? Just go on Redfin, and whether it's a house or land, and see see the properties that have sold in the last 6 months, and click on a few of these parcels or houses or real estate that has sold, and scroll down a little bit when you're looking at the information about it, the pictures, who it's listed by, who it's bought by, and call one of those listing agents and say, hey, could I pay you some money for a broker's price opinion? They'll understand that. BPO. I'm just trying to figure out what this property is worth that I'm going to lend on. If I had to sell it tomorrow, like what could you list it for and sell it for? And they'll give you their second. And it's like, if they tell you like $90,000 and the flipper or the real estate investor is telling you it's worth hundreds, then be cautious.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
It is. We leverage the power of those kind of networks as well, realtors and brokers, and there's a lot of people in the industry that have a depth of knowledge, and they can quickly confirm or not your business case for a parcel, especially the larger and larger you get in terms of value.
Yeah.
What are you in your land business today? Your business. Where are you playing? What markets do you like to look at, and kind of what size parcels and or cost are you playing around in?
Yeah, I like the Florida market right now. I like the Texas market because, it's growing. I want to see the area growing. Some of the markets I'm in are slowing down a little bit too. Carolinas, we just got a great deal in South Carolina. Wholesalers beware about the Carolinas. If you get properties under contract and assign them, be very careful with that. Right now, I'm not assigning my deals these days because a lot of regulation is coming. They want to see you buy it and then hold it for like 30 days, then sell it. So those are some markets. As far as size doesn't matter. I'm kind of operating mostly under the $500,000 price range. Because those, really under 300,000, they move a little faster. I don't do a lot of subdivides or improvement plays. I really just want to make sure I get a smoking hot deal, and I'm able to sell it for fairly quickly, because that's where I've been operating for a while, and it's comfortable. These entitlement plays, these subdivide plays, you can make a lot of money doing them, but they take longer. They're more work. They're riskier. And I just. At this point, like, I don't want to risk it. We'll pick one or two of those a year, maybe, but it's got to be a no-brainer.
Yeah. We have the same philosophy. We love velocity and just being able to turn and burn these properties. And once you get up into six figures, the buying pool slows down a little bit, and so you're possibly taking a bit longer to get your money back. Not necessarily, but. It's almost anything goes. And then I totally support you on the fact that these other deals, they just take longer. And anytime you're adding elements of value, you're also adding risk and complication into the mix. And and you're also adding government institutions that approve, don't approve. They take their own time to do the work that's on their side of the table. So can be frustrating at times. But.
Yeah, there's no incentive for them. There's no incentive for them to approve it or disapprove it. And you got this county employee or whatnot. It's just like, why? What's the incentive? So you got to kind of just move at their pace sometimes, and just be prepared to sit and wait.
You have a good Zen mindset. Just do one or two of those and know it's going to take a bit, or be surprised if it doesn't.
Brent, I'm curious, what are some things you wished you knew when you started your land business that you know now?
So many things. So one thing, I've actually put it on paper. I call it my due diligence checklist, and I got to add another thing to it that just burnt me big time. And so if anybody wants a copy of that, they can just go to thelandsharks.com/DD, as in due diligence. But one thing I wish, so basically, to answer your question, it's all on that due diligence checklist. But one thing that just burnt me recently was I bought some land in Florida, and it was kind of weird how to access this land. You had to go through, like, off of this main road and then down this beautiful well-maintained like grass road that I can tell neighbors were using. And my biggest thing was, do I have legal ingress, egress? Title companies said, yes, we'll insure it with the title, no problem. I said, great, this is a no-brainer deal. It sat on the market for like several months. I'm like, why is this not selling? I could see we're the cheapest thing on the market. Like, and I'm offering seller financing. Like, what is going wrong here? So we put directional signs. We put out about 30 signs that said, 4 acres, will finance. And it's like, he's like, Brent, we have showings like every day. And I'm like, why hasn't it sold? So I was like, maybe I can build some houses on this. I went back into the renovation mindset. Like, okay, I'll put some manufactured homes on here, some cheap, stick built houses and get my money back over the course of time. Well, I call the county, or my assistant calls the county, says, they're like, no, you can't build on this land. We will not give you a permit unless you put in asphalt roads with storm drainage and blah, blah, blah. So they wanted me to be the developer. It would cost $1 million to put these roads in. So I had just spent $115,000 on this land. And I'm in the process of learning this, right? Or I shouldn't say learning this. I should have known better. I was doing some other deals and I just, I got caught up in deal mania. And I was just buying and selling. And it's like, I should have slowed down a little bit and called the county, just dot the I's, cross the T's. So be very careful when you buy land that's not on a main road and it's got some kind of crazy access issues. So I've hired an attorney to sue this county for a special exemption. You cannot make my property worth $0 because that's what they've done. And I'm paying outrageous taxes for it as well. And usually on land, it's like very, very minimal taxes. Even the guy on the phone with the building department, planning and zoning, goes, I can't believe why you're paying such high taxes. So I was like, you made my land like worthless, right? So I hired an attorney that's out in the process of suing another county right now. So I hope it works, but that's a mistake I just recently made. And I'm in the process of it right now. And I want to look at like, oh, woe is me. I messed up in 2022. I lost all this money and here I did it again. Well, this is why I teach people. I show them how to avoid these things, as well as I got to look at the other 250 properties that I've made a killing on. So it's like, okay, this is the seminar I just had to go to. It's the price of doing business, I guess, sometimes.
Yes.
I would have liked to avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah, we get these life seminars. Also, it's one of the things we love about land relative to other asset classes is there are very, very few gotchas in the there can still be things that go wrong and it's not really wrong. And one of the things that Lydia and I both talk about when we started our land journey is we started out so picky. Like we would look at a piece of property and critique the slope and I don't know, those trees look kind of small. We would buy anything these days, especially looking back. But there are a few things that we try to stay away from. And exactly landlocked type properties, even if they have support or purported easements on them, we really stay away from those just because you never know what you're going to get into with those. I think we bought 1 or 2 landlocked properties. One of them was in a package that we bought from a wholesaler, and it was, we bought like 10 lots all in a wholesale deal, and we came across one of them afterwards, and it was landlocked. And then, there's some counties that are worse than others at, a lot of counties don't allow it to begin with, right? So they won't parcel up properties if there's not access, but a lot of them either have a legacy thing that was done, or some counties do it. But yeah, that's definitely a red flag we stay away from. And then, you can get trouble with liens. So that's definitely something to make sure you do your full course of searching on to make sure there's no liens on properties. But other than that, it's far different than a single family home or a multifamily home where you have to worry about the age of the plumbing and is the electric up to code and what are you going to do when you open a wall or get into things like that. So it's nice, but due diligence checklist is always handy tool to have. So we'll definitely link that up in the show notes and people can go check that out. So let's rewind a little bit. Served in the military. Thank you for your service. By the way, I think you make an effort to also help veterans in some ways. Is that?
Yeah, we have we have a lot of veterans and first responders, even active duty military in our Land Sharks community, just teaching them how to do land deals, how to make extra income, that side hustle, maybe replace their income because they're thinking about getting out of the military or they're on the way out of the military. So we've had some guys come through as doing their internship program with us. So it's been a real good time just seeing people. One of my old bosses actually came through and he's doing land deals, and it's cool to see that happening.
Yeah, it's such a transformational business. It's so rewarding. I mean, we also do a bit of coaching and just that watch that transformation happen and the degrees of freedom that open up in people's lives when, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, if you just get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 owner finance passive coming in for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, I mean, how much flexibility that gives you in life to be able to do what you want to start another side hustle. I mean, it opens so much, and it's so rewarding to watch people have that success and then feel that relief of just, okay, my bills are covered and I've even got a little bit of extra. So yeah, love that. Veterans are a super great cause to be working with for sure.
And in your experience with coaching other people to do what you do, what do you see that there are success factors in people that really take off and crushing it as them?
I think it's one thing. They're decisive and they just take action. They
action takers. Yes.
Yeah, that's the main thing. They have blind faith. They trust that land investing still works. I mean, I think it's one of the oldest businesses out there. They might not trust the process yet because they haven't seen results. But if we give them an action step and they take that action and they get a result, the result's almost addicting because it's like, okay, I have another result. I want to, like I told my wife today, I was like, man, every time we go out of town, all these land deals come in. And she's like, oh, well, that should be a celebration. Like, I was like, you're right, because it's addicting. It's like, it's like, I don't even want to leave town now. I want to stay home and do land deals. But, anyhow, it's that result is addicting. And if we can get a result for someone quick enough, they're going to stay with it. It's like the reason why people don't go to the gym and get in shape is because it takes so darn long. It's like we want to see results quicker. It's like we do it for 2 weeks now, our body's beat up, and it's like I'm not seeing any results, but I feel like garbage because like I'm so sore, and that's why most people quit. So it's like if you kind of think about that, it's like if I can get you results like immediately, you see results in the first day going to the gym, then you're probably going to go the next day and the next day and the next day. And I think you do, like it's endorphins. But it's like, so you just got to get past that 2 or 3 week mark, which is the same thing in business. Like I see it with, people just starting out, our brand new Land Sharks community members. It's like that 3 week mark, they start to get those that we call the 3Ds, where they doubt the process or they doubt that they can make money in land, or maybe even worse, they doubt themselves or start to doubt me. And I talk about this, like you got to hit the gas on those times. You got to keep doing the action steps. You got to keep doing the income producing activities, not go back in the education mode, but keep doing the steps and doing the steps that we call them leading measures.
Yep. What can I control?
Yes.
Yeah. What can you control? Yeah. You can get on the phone again, or you can send out another letter to a landowner. And the phone's hard because it's like, we don't want to get the rejection because it's just, it happens though. You got to there's a reason why I have a rhinoceros behind me. You got to have 3-inch thick skin, always be charging.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, let's stay on that topic a little bit. I mean, one of the things we like to talk about on the show is mindset and behaviors and what it takes to be successful. Do you personally practice? I mean, you've been through some big potential stressors with your home business as well as a misstep here and there in the land business. How do you stay resilient?
A lot of physical activity. Like yesterday, I went. I so when I wake up in the morning, most of the time, I hit. Let me back up. So I wake up in the morning. I drink 12 to 24 ounces of water as quick as possible. I hit my knees and thank God that I get another day, and thanks for the blessings, and it just gets me in a positive mindset. And then I put on my walking shoes and I go for, like a 10 or 15-minute walk outside in the dark before everyone else wakes up, and, do some breath work. And then I come back, get the kids breakfast, turn the coffee pot on. We get the kids to school. Then I go to the gym for like an hour. And then I come back. I usually don't start my day till about 10 a.m. One thing that I want to work on is, well, I used to have the Bible, like I would do Bible study early in the morning as well. I need to bring that back because I kind of go up and down with that. Like I fall in and out of that. So there's things that I need to work on too, that I want to work on and improve. But yesterday, my day looked like this. I did everything I just said, but I had some calls. I had to do it around 11 with some other Land Sharks community members. I was like, well, I can do this from the bike. So I got on the bike and hit it. And before I knew it, I did like 15 miles. So that's how I stay resilient. It's just, I'm always moving. Breath work. I also do what's called a decompression at the end of the day. And that's the hardest thing for me, because like as soon as I hang up on this podcast, I want to go run out into my house and see the kids at their home. But I need to take like that 5 or 6 minutes to do some breath work, close my eyes, and get out of killer mode and go into dad mode and husband mode.
Yeah, that's solid. I'm a physical guy too. Lygia is quick to point it out if I haven't been physical in some amount of time.
Yeah, she's like, I'm stuck with you. You better.
No, I love what you said, because I think it's so important to focus on our health and our resilience and from every aspect, because we are gonna go through hard times. Things are not gonna be smooth, and we are gonna go through losses and experiences and all that. But how to keep mentally sharp, to stay resilient, to not give up. That's so important.
So we'll ramp this down here. I know we're approaching the top of the hour, but you touched on something that we like to end all of our podcasts with, and that's a bit of gratitude. So like to give you the floor to express some gratitude for maybe somebody who's been instrumental along your journey of life and or business.
Yeah, I got so many people,
Yes.
First of all, like my wife, my wife, Emily, for allowing me to, this weekend I went and spoke with Joe McCall and Ray Jong, and we were teaching other land investors how to do deals live, like calling sellers. And thank God for her to, hold the fort down, hang out with the 3 kids while I go and do this. And then, so many coaches as well. We've had some of the same coaches like, Tom Kroll and Brent Daniels and Cody Hoffine, the whole Wholesaling Inc. team. You guys have inspired me. I met you guys, I think in like 2017 or so. So it's been a long time now. So many people, and just my parents, just for, all the help over the years they've given me. So just, there's so many, if you like, I encourage that gratitude. Every day, another thing I have is my journal. I write my 5 wins I saw yesterday, and I do the 5 wins I want to see happen today. And I also check off the ones that happened the day before. It's like, okay, yep, that happened. It's like almost like God gave me a magic wand. What I write in this journal happens most of the time, most of it. But I encourage people to sit down and write a list of all the people that have helped you along the way. It's just so many. There's so many. There's no one that's self-made.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that. So, and I also have a morning and evening gratitude, very similar to what you just recounted there in terms of wins for the day, wins for tomorrow, and things I'm grateful for. So, those are great. Yeah, we're certainly grateful for having met you. You inspire us as well, and we're similar mindsets of the rising tide lifts all boats. So we're all in this together. It's not a zero-sum game. We're all out there and can all enjoy big amounts of success. For anybody out there that's been inspired or intrigued or wants to hear more, how's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. Go to the landsharks.com and schedule a call with me and mention this podcast. Mention where you heard it from. I'd like to give back to you guys as well. So yeah, that's probably the easiest way. And obviously I'm on all the socials, Brent L. Bowers. And yes, the L stands for land.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, hey, man, it was great catching up. We appreciate you coming on and giving some time to us in the audience, and wish you nothing but success in the future. Hope to cross paths. It's going to be a little harder now that you're down in Florida, but we'll find a way to cross paths.
God bless, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Likewise, man. For those of you joining us today, we hope you enjoyed this time in the Champions Corner as much as we did. Got some awesome takeaways, and most importantly, will take action to continue living your best life and maximizing your potential. Mindset is such an important aspect of life, and when coupled with action, delivers undeniably powerful results.
Please subscribe to the podcast to hear from more great guests and get the latest mindset mastery insights and cash flow matchups.
Again, thank you so much for investing your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cash Flow Fight Club podcast.